Okay, we're live. I'm waiting for Elly. This is Thursday, February the 13th. Pardon the mess behind me. We're getting ready to stage the house so I can put it back on the market. So things are piled high, and they were here today, brought more stuff in, and all my stuff is things I thought were going to stay have to be packed up. So I got my work cut out for me for the weekend. Anyhow, that's my life, and it's pretty stressful. I have not heard a thing from Larry, so I don't know what to think. I haven't heard anything from Mark. I haven't tried to touch base with him. I would assume that if he heard something, he would be letting me know, and I haven't heard from him. So I'm waiting for Elly to come in. I saw a few seconds of Nancy Pelosi's press conference today. Oh no, our president broke the law and we had to abide by the Constitution. What part of the Constitution, Nancy Pelosi, do you want to abide by? For crying out loud, you guys are trying to take us into socialism and communism, which is going to destroy our Constitution. This nonsense is unbelievable. And, I've heard a little bit more about the Democratic primary. And I know people are saying, yeah, but look how many votes the president got. He got so much more than everybody else in New Hampshire. But this was not the big election. This was the primary. So he won, but he won by an astronomical amount, which was Donald Trump won, which is fabulous, 120 some thousand votes versus I think Reagan's the next highest, and his was 92,000. And then we've got there's Elly. There you are.
Hey, yeah, gorgeous. There I am. I had to let my dog out, and then he wanted a bone.
No problem. I just got things started. I haven't heard anything from Larry or from Mark. So, we just wait. We wait. We know that, remember, 4 weeks ago tomorrow, Larry told us with so much emotion in his voice, I thought he was about ready to break down. And he said, look, I will give everything I've got to save our presidency and to save our president and to stop this impeachment. And he did. And he pushed himself. And by Tuesday, he was so sick that, his wife had the flu and he got it. And, in his weakened condition, you can imagine what that did to him. So we know, and I will say it this way, we know he was deathly ill. And all we can do at this point is hope that he has survived through it all. We haven't heard a thing. His wife hasn't contacted me. Now, when he died 2 years ago, in another 13 days, it'll be 2 years. When he died, I did hear, I sent a text message and then I got a text. I had that feeling something's wrong. I've got to hear something's wrong. I felt it. Now, I haven't felt like that for the last 4 weeks. I have not. I'm concerned. I don't know why we haven't heard anything, but I don't have that urgent, oh no, got to find out what's happening right now. I haven't had that feeling yet. That doesn't mean that, I can go and it completely by gut, but my gut has not told me that there is anything but patience needed on our part to give him time to recover. I don't know. We're not allowed to know, and there's a reason that we're not allowed to know, and I'm sure it has something to do with the work he had done and the people that he angered because we won. Trump was acquitted. That's amazing. And you and I both know that Larry had a big hand in that. We don't know what he did. We don't know who he worked with. We don't know how he worked and what he did. But we do know that he had a big hand in the work he was doing, and he promised that if he had to go to his last breath to save our presidents and save the presidency, he would do it. So yeah, I agree, Josephine. So far, no sense of panic in my gut, and I've got some stress of my own with what you see piled up behind me. So that's enough to keep me a little freaked out. But you know, I keep declaring Psalm 118:17 every day, many times a day. Larry will not die, but live and declare the works of the Lord. And I am also, declaring that not only will he survive, but that he won't have to go through the amount of pain he's in. It would be nice if the Lord would just heal him. But, the Lord's, that's a great reaction, Sherry, to Nancy Pelosi. I won't dare read it, but, if she's doing a press conference every day, can't you imagine the panic they must be feeling? If they're, but here's the other thing, because they're all part of the deep state, if they're feeling this level of panic, then we have got to be very careful to be prepared for them to do something dastardly. I don't want a repeat of November 22nd, 63. We're praying against that. We're praying for safety for President Trump. And remember, a week or two ago, I told you that there is a movement right now that at 7:00 Eastern every day, 7 days a week, there is prayer for the protection of our president for 1 minute. So, I think for 1 minute, we can all afford to spend 1 minute, stop whatever we're doing. Set your alarm. I have my cell phone goes off at 7 p.m. Eastern every night. And I look at it, and I wrote prayer time as my title. And so every night at 7, it says 7:00 prayer time. And I remember, because I'll be busy, I'll be painting, I'll be doing, that's prime work time for me. And I'll just stop and take a minute, and I pray for our president's safety. And what I have been doing since I've been praying and fasting I started January 1st, 2015. I felt something change in the air, and I was planning New Year's Day to apply for a job. And instead I started praying. I could feel something spiritually had shifted, and I knew our country was in grave danger. And, when we hear some of the things that were plotted and planned, I think Putin has said that if Hillary had come in, they would have been putting a nuclear bomb here. And I could feel something change. And so I started praying and fasting. And since summer 2016, I'm not just praying for family. I'm not just praying for the president. I am praying for Larry. And every time I pray for the president, I include Larry, and I include him as an advisor. Now, whether he is, what he's able to do, I don't know. But, he has some incredible advisory capacity. When Bush went into Iraq and Afghanistan, the generals contacted Larry to talk about going there. And Larry had fought in Afghanistan with the Mujahideen, had trained them to fight against the Russians back then. And so he knew what the Middle East was like. And he said, don't go in, because as soon as you leave, they go back to doing what they do. So the only way, if you're going to go in, you're committed to staying till the end of time, because what you're going to accomplish will not stick. And of course, as we start to pull out, they go back to their infighting. And they don't have the love of God to share with one another and to forgive one another and to do the things that we as Christians will do. And even though not everybody in America is Christian, we are based on a Judeo-Christian heritage. We have that. We have our whole demeanor, a way of our outlook on life, the way we treat one another. Now that's kind of gone out the window in recent years since President Trump came in because of the animosity on the other side, the animosity of the left. Don't forget, there's a verse in Ecclesiastes that says, if you're godly, you're going to do the right thing. And if you're wicked, you're going to be on the left. It says that, right, left, right there. I think, I don't remember if it's chapter 3 or 4 or 5. I can't remember. It's on the left side of the page on the right column. I do remember that in my Bible. So that's all I've got to say. We just keep praying, and if you can join us at 7 o'clock, set an alarm and take a minute and say a prayer for the safety of our country. Now when we've got the coronavirus and all that's going on with that, and I understand on the next week, the military has some kind of something planned in Nebraska in case of something catastrophic. They're practicing for how to handle something catastrophic. The military is doing that. So thank you, Josephine, for what you had to say. We don't set out to be used by God. Humility is something that was not part of my life until Larry came along and helped me learn how to change that portion of my life. It was quite problematic. And, I know God called me into Larry's life because he found in me the typical Christian he absolutely hated because of things that had been done to him by Christians. And he's had to do a little bit of an attitude adjustment because of the faithfulness that he has discovered that I have and the loyalty. So thank you, and I'm going to turn it over. You ready to take it away, Elly?
Oh, I guess. I was having fun listening to you.
Yeah, they're having a very big drill in a small town in Nebraska. Of course, every time they have these big drills, we wonder, what are they planning for? And sometimes they'll have a drill and then something immediately happens right after the drill. Now, when they had Jade 15, we didn't have a lot of Jade 15. Now here comes the trouble. That didn't 2000, wasn't that? Was Jade 15 was 2015 before Trump?
Jade Helm?
Jade Helm, yeah.
They do that every year anyhow. It's just a huge exercise, and I believe they get a little bit of each of the services. When I did, it was the UN of finding out why they were in Utah. They were talking about they didn't want to call it Jade Helm, but they were basically saying the military now has like a joint effort where they practice together. And I believe the last one was not in our country, though, if I remember right. I mean, I could be wrong on that one, but they're starting to do it, and it's been since Trump's went in office. They've been getting together and they're, it's like you said, you wonder if they're planning for something or if they're just
staying prepared in case.
Cautious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if they're worried about the liberals getting together and starting anything, I foresee the liberals on tricycles with tutus. Oh, and the pink hats. So that's not very scary. Don't worry, Mary Ellen. They won't make you wear a tutu and ride a tricycle. I'm honest.
At this point, I thought once you knew how to ride a bike, you never forgot. Do you know I cannot remember how to ride a bicycle? I cannot stay on it. I fall over. I brought it inside the house to ride it around the walls, hoping I would, figure out how to get my balance again. I need training wheels on my bicycle.
Just get one of those great big ones that look like a giant tricycle.
Yeah, well, then you have to buy something. I don't have money to buy something. I can probably afford training wheels, but that's about it. Oh, help. Um,
Roller
yes, James,
skates.
I have seen it. You can see there's an increase in sulfur around Wuhan. You can see from outer space, and the closer you get to the center, um, there is it goes from a yellow area to a bright red area, and they're thinking that that is where they are cremating bodies. And to be able to see it from space like that makes you think that it must be far worse than they're suggesting. So I'm sorry about the ceiling lights. I don't know how to put my head to. It's just kind of a glare, but I don't know what else to do. So anyhow,
I did some. I haven't even put this on my news page yet. This is something I was looking into today. I was looking into the socialism, capitalism of Holland. And, it led to like climate change. And then I noticed something. And it was it was the Clintons that has gotten Holland to invest in their, let's see, it was a Clinton Health Initiative for Climate Change. It was kind of listed like that. And I thought that was kind of weird. So I ran it through foundations, nothing had come up. And I thought that was even more weird, because usually if you run the foundation through, you'll get all the info on it. Well, I kept thinking maybe I had it down wrong, and I went back and I looked, and I typed it in just exactly how it said, and I was like, that's just really weird because the Clintons have made like $75 million off of it, maybe even more. And this is what they're charging Holland for. And it sounds almost like a health care program that Holland's bought into. So I was thinking maybe under the William Jefferson Clinton Foundation, but I didn't see nothing for Holland there. And, the only other place I know to go look is Charles Ortel. And, lo and behold, he had a article on it that foundation don't even exist. And they have been using it all over Europe to make money. And
telling people to put money into a foundation that doesn't exist?
Yes. And that's a new thing I found out. So really your viewers are finding out new kind of with me. I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at the Charles Ortel, but he basically was saying it don't exist or it's not registered. So they're making millions, probably billions, off of these different countries selling them on foundation money. And that's what Larry was warning us about. They just don't.
Why, after what happened in Haiti, why would countries continue to do this?
Because they can get away with it, because they had Comey and they had Clapper and Brennan and all the people in place to cover it.
Why would the other country? Why are all these countries around the world willing to do this after what happened in Haiti? Because
I don't think Holland is corrupt, but you do something like like Ukraine. It's a dictator, they're corrupt. Oh yes, they're going to buy into it because they can funnel the money, kind of like the Bidens did. You get into it under the resources, then you get these banks, and you get one over in Switzerland, you get one in Greece, and you just funnel it through, just like Larry has taught us. But these countries, if they're corrupt, of course they'll go along with it if they're going to make a few mil. The ones that I don't think are corrupt, I think they're just falling prey to it.
Well, one thing I can say about corruption in the Netherlands, I have never met them, but my grandfather's family is from the Netherlands, and his older, grandpa died decades ago, but the relatives there that are getting elderly are very afraid of going to the hospital because they're afraid of being euthanized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, once I found out that, even, some of the charities you think are the best, they only have to give 15% of what they get. And to me, that is so wrong. They at least ought to give 50, 60%. It's just wrong, you know? And a lot of the charities do that. I'm trying to think of one of the well-known charities, but the Clintons, they say they only give 12%. So all that money that you give them for their foundation is supposed to help. They're only going to give 12%. So, 12 cents on the buck. And the rest goes in their pockets. And, this is how all these foundations, even Obama, their foundation isn't even registered. And Charles Ortels brought that out. And, I believe a lot of the senators have got foundations. And, once you start looking, but what really surprised me is when we found out all the CEOs were fleeing these foundations, and I couldn't figure out why. They were all just, just quitting or resigning, and they didn't want no more part of it. But then I had noticed, watching Charles Ortel, that the IRS is starting to look into these foundations now. And so I believe that's where the CEOs started getting out, and they just don't want to get caught. They don't want to be in the middle of that. And a lot of them, I think that's how Ortel finds out that these are, he doesn't really say they're fake. He just says they're not registered, which means they don't have a foundation 502, I believe it's 502C and B's number, so that you can actually claim it on your taxes. But a lot of the Clinton foundations, even the IRS won't even get the Clintons on not even filing taxes. That's why I didn't understand why Hillary wanted Trump so bad. Because if we would have demanded hers, or he would have, they would have found out they hadn't been, as of, I'm going to say a year ago, Charles Ortel reported that their taxes weren't adding up since 2013. They didn't have right numbers. So, it's just, hopefully we can get them, and they start getting them for this corruption. And to me, it's just taken so long, just on the foundations, because when they were, it was, I'm going to say early 2018, or it might have been 17, where we got them in court here on their foundation. And it was closed hearings. You couldn't find nothing out. The media wasn't talking. But when they left here, it's when they had the ankle bracelets. And when Hillary was seen with the ankle bracelets on her feet. And then they said, supposedly, Bill was on house arrest at the penthouse at the library. So I know we got them on something with their foundation. It's just you can't find nothing out. All the documents that you would normally get under FOIA, they're classified and you can't touch them. So it's just, more and more they're, like by Hunter Biden with his, he tried to classify all his out too. So we couldn't get a hold of him here to see anything on Burisma. But I think we got him, on it.
Back to a little, I haven't had anybody contact me about the Never Socialism or about the book, because Monty said that if anybody sent Larry $50 and wants a book, let me know, and he will buy a book. He'll buy a book, and we'll throw in a bumper sticker for you. You need to contact my cell phone number. Let me see if my phone will let me put it in. Here it is. So if you donate $50, he will buy a book on top of that. So we'll get.
They were so quiet. I almost said, when I got in, I was almost said, Mary Ellen, they're being real quiet today. Maybe they'll shut up. No, they did it earlier to me too. They were all quiet this morning, and the sun was out. I thought, how odd. And then the second I started my show, they were just chirping away. They started up again, and then they were all quiet, and then I get in here, and here they go again. So,
the British paper is how Larry first got the information out about the Clinton scandals. When the Clintons were in the White House, and even the story of Vince Foster, nobody wanted to pick it up here in the U.S.
not even to this day, our media here is so Democrat. I mean, our paper at Little Rock, Log Cabin Democrat, and they are so Democrat liberal that you will get nothing of anything bad about the Clintons here. And it's so sad because we're a red Republican state. I mean, totally Republican governor, and thoroughly, but still to this day they protect the Clintons. The media does, and I have met up with a few of them, and I know one of the channels. It's our CBS affiliate. I'm pretty good friends with the weather guys, and one of the other girls, and they are just so into how wonderful Hillary is, and I don't get it. I don't get it. And I tell them, the corruption. And they said, well, people do bad things. No, not that bad. Not that bad. But they're young. Yeah, Charles Ortel, if you could just, it's really long and it's really hard to listen to him when he does the charities and the foundation. Get him when he's going over all of them, because he's even got Obama on quite a few. And when he does it, when he adds Pelosi and Schumer and a few others, it's like, how are so many countries and so many people so bought into the Clintons still? You just got to wonder if they know that they embezzle money and they're crooked on their foundations. Like you said, why would they even fall for it? And who knows what they're making out of India, because they spend a lot of time there. And as much as I dug into India, it's very few facts coming out of India to find out what they've been doing there too. You just got to wonder what they're up to in a lot of these countries. And now this thing with Holland, I was really surprised. And if this is what they're using, the new scam that they're using, hopefully we can get this turned over to the IRS and they could stop them. There's just too many dictators in countries, and there's too many countries that are actually getting away from socialism and getting back to more capitalist. Like UK, the news out of the UK is their first bit of news coming out on their trades and their new economy under Brexit is wonderful. And there's a lady that is in my game room, and I asked her about it. She said, yes, the prices are starting to go down there. And she said, and what she was real excited to tell me about was they are starting to shut down the no-go zones. Because it was getting so close to the palace, they were worried about it. And they are starting to go against and vote against Sharia law. And I think they're going to get the power back. I really do think with the way they're going under Trump's plan is, I guess, is what they're using. They're actually starting to see the country make money again. I mean, even though the Queen's got zillions, they still need sustainable government money for, their government, and not just using the Queen's money. So this is great news. I believe it's the first of what has come through with the Trump plan that Europe is starting to use that shows it works. I mean, it works here. It's working now in the UK. So hopefully the EU will follow suit. But from what it said in the news this morning, was they're still sticking to the old way, the socialism kind of way. And now all these countries are starting to fall. And not only that, but they're so, the influx of illegals is so hard on their economy that they're just falling apart. And now what I like about the EU is they're saying no more. We're not taking no more illegals. And that's what we should be allowed to do. We should say, nope, we've had enough. Let's help what we got, send back the crooks and the criminals, and deal with what we got. No more. We should have a right to do that. So. Sherry, now, the rumor has it here, and then I heard from Dolly. Dolly was an old friend of Bill Clinton's. She claims Hubble. And when you look at Chelsea and Hubble, and you look at them pictures side by side, oh my goodness, but it's just rumor. And one of their friends, letting me know that Hubble. And then, of course, Bill Clinton's son, it looks just like him. And I've seen him up close. And, the pictures don't do justice, but when you see him, and I have been, to so many things with Bill here, that I see a very young Bill. I really do. And I think Danny has pretty much given up, that Hillary will never let him anywhere near Bill. And Bill is just not interested. And he's come to terms that, the Lord's going to take care of him. And it doesn't matter. He knows in his heart. So, it's sad what these politicians have, like, look at Hunter Biden. Now he has got a girl from Arkansas with a kid, and, for such a very religious state, we sure got the crummy people having illegitimate kids here. We must be illegitimate politician kid thing here in the state, because it just seems like it keeps happening here. So, and you never hear about him being here. I think he met the girl from Arkansas, Hunter did, somewhere else, but he had to come here for court. And you cannot find nothing out when he's here. When he shows up for court, you can't find out where he's at, hardly. And if you do, and by the time you get there, he's gone. It just really amazes me how they protect, the media protect the Democrats when they come here. Oh, the Clintons are just evil all the way to the core, to every inch of their little hearts.
Well, the shocking thing is how many others that we're discovering in Congress are the same. Like, I guess I don't need to name names, but when you think of the speaker being the daughter of a Baltimore mob boss, and there's just, and the worship of Lucifer, the involvement in the occult, the witchcraft. Um, when I read through the Bible and read through
Chelsea wears an upside down cross, and she twitters with that the Luciferian guy, the one that has the traveling Molech that came here, and we fought them off. Oh boy, we fought traveling Moloch. We've been able to keep that statue out of our state now, and the tranny libraries. I threw a fit when I found out tranny library was coming. I called every library in our state and said, don't you dare, I'll show up with thousands to block them from going in your doors. Because that's just wrong, wrong, wrong. And, out of the original 6, 4 of them have been arrested for pedophilia. Now they got more. And one by one, these tranny library guys keep getting arrested for pedophilia. I almost did it, and I wish I would have. I was going to be a traveling Mother Goose because I do costumes for when I did parties. And some know I do Mrs. Claus. And I wanted to do Mother Goose really bad and do that. But, they wanted to know everything, and they just had all these restrictions. And then to let grown men dress up in women's clothes, and they're disgusting. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen the show. It makes me just want to, what someone said earlier, just it'll turn your stomach to watch what they do. And these are 3 and 4-year-olds.
The drag queen shows?
Yes.
Well, they're twerking and all kinds of disgusting stuff.
Yeah, and like I said, and over half of them have been arrested for being pedophiles. And you would think these libraries would check these guys out. I would rather see Daddy Hour, where, some men go in like a fireman or a police officer and go in and read the kids' stories. Let's not do Weird Hour. That's just wrong. Let's not confuse 3 and 4-year-olds. Or, even have a lady dress up as a princess if they want to, be a princess. It's just, oh my goodness.
I mean, we do enough dress up stuff with the schools in the fall.
Mary Ellen, you're right. Without DNA, nothing. Without the DNA, there's no proof to it.
Yeah, yes. I mean, Danny's mother, wasn't Danny's mother a prostitute?
Uh-huh.
And we know she was.
Well, the thing about it, he said approximately 12 years that there was Christmas gifts brought to him. And, even if, let's say the DNA isn't, Bill Clinton thought he was, and he did up till Hillary put her foot down. And, that's wonderful that's the good side of Bill Clinton, because Larry Nichols would even tell you there was a charming side of Bill that everybody fell for. And that charming side, won the heart of that little boy growing up, that could be his daddy. And that a man with money paid a little bit of attention every year, even birthdays. And, if it turns out no, at least he has a fond memory of a male figure, because his mom was a prostitute, and it was not a good part of his life. And he probably seen some horrors growing up, living down. I'm thinking the south side of Little Rock isn't a nice place, or even on the other side of the river. So I can't say I respect Bill for that. I just think it was a nice thing to do for a little boy. And if he's not, he did, like I said, he's still got that memory of Bill Clinton. Not many people can say Bill Clinton got him Christmas gifts, some fantastic gifts. But That's how Bill Clinton won the hearts of and snowballed everybody in Arkansas. He was sweet and kind, and then when you uncover, um, you pull back the skin of Bill Clinton, you see a serial rapist. That's what we see anymore here. It's what I see, because when you start listening to the women, it's just really heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking. And when he comes here, I think even Juanita Broderick wonders if what he's done. You know, it's sad. It's really sad. But that's Bill. Hillary's got her own things. One of the things that I could never get in the paper, and I tried so, so hard, and this was in, I'm going to say 1985. And what it was is my son was in kindergarten, first grade is what I'm thinking. And the teachers were trying to raise money, like a PTA thing, to buy books. And I thought it was for the library. They were raising money to buy books, and all the schools were doing it in Arkansas. And it was because they had really old books, and this is in the 80s, and the copyrights on the books were early 50s. I thought, wow, yeah, I mean, you think on that. These were old books. Well, when Hillary Clinton found out, she stopped it. And, of course, it upset all the teachers. So all the teachers in Arkansas had went on strike. And she got pretty nasty about it. And so basically, they had to go back. They had to go back on their jobs. And, she never did update the books, the education, because she was in charge of the education. And we moved back to California in 87. When I called back in 88, and that's when I found out about the boys, I asked about the books. And they said that a donor, and they didn't know who it was, had gave them all the money to cover all brand new school books in Arkansas. And it was like millions, in the millions. And it was just because of the kids. And that's Hillary Clinton, That was something, and you don't hear that story. It's like I tell my viewers with the Clinton crimes. I know little things that if I won't tell the story unless I was a part of it. If it's a rumor or hearsay, I really don't like doing it. But this I was a big part of. We did PTA meetings, and we even out in front of the stores were trying to raise money for those books. And it was just so sad that, after raising the taxes and really hurting the economy in Arkansas, that she would tear the school system down too. And then, of course, now they want everybody free school, free college. Where were they when we needed the new books? And the other one, I think Larry even knew about this one, is when they went on campaign for presidency, there was a huge, like a conference that was in Little Rock for Medicaid, and they were bringing a lot of the senior citizen home. They were busing them in for this conference. Well, they busted them in, and then while they were at the conference, now, and this is so heartless, Secret Service and the state troopers went and took all the buses for the Clintons for their campaign, and they took off with them and left all their senior citizens. They had to get school buses all over the area to go in and get these senior citizens home. They took their buses because they couldn't get none or forgot to get them. And, the more you learn about them, the more you hate them. And it is just horrible, the stuff you find out. And, you know, it's like I told you the little cafe, the story about the little cafe. You go in these cafes and you ask some of these old timers, you say, you know, what do you think of the Clintons? And they will tell you some stories. And if you say, prove it, and they go, well, come on out to my house. We'll have some sweet tea. We'll sit on the porch and I'll show you. I'll show you pictures. I'll show you news clippings. You know, they're all more than happy to turn them over. So, yeah, you know, that's just how the old timers here are, because they had to live through it. They really had to live through the horrors of the Clintons. So, then you guys were talking about that virus. China's reported they have the bird flu now, a new virus. Ain't that something, Mary Ellen? You know, and China's supposed to be clean. Now the bird flu. It just got you know, there already thousands have died, I think. Hasn't it? No, 282, but thousands are sick.
I've lost track.
I think it's 282 at this point. And now the bird flu, you know, you see them wear the masks, you know, all the time over there. And how many times have they had a virus and didn't tell us about it?
I'll be right back.
And, China lied to us when they told us when they had first found it. They said it was right about the first part of December, and then, oh, wait a minute. No, well, actually, it was the middle of November. Now we're finding out it was October. China has never been honest with us or the CDC on this virus. They really haven't.
They haven't been honest on previous ones either.
No. And that's what I was saying. You know, here now we got the bird flu. So how many viruses did they let fly over with people that we didn't know about? That, you know, we get those little bouts of pneumonia that we hear about, or the flu that's killing people. You know, we're just assuming, and it's our opinion, but maybe all these flu shots we have to get are because of what they're letting come over here, that we just don't know, and there's no proof. You know, if we don't have the proof that we're getting their flus, and their weird flus, there's nothing we can do, and there's nothing the CDC can come forward with. You know, I always check the CDC, because they'll even say like a rare form of pneumonia, for like Arizona or Washington, or, they'll say, which is great. But if we don't have the shots and the proper vaccines for it, who knows what we could get from a lot of the Asian countries, even Africa, where Ebola come from. And it's their eating habits, because, when this first came out, the coronavirus, they thought it was from eating bats. And it was like, oh my God, I wonder how raw they were, and then you look at some of the cuisine on Bizarre Foods. I mean, I have a hard time watching that show. But they eat, I seen them eating, warning, graphic stuff here. They eat live mice.
Live mice?
Babies, yes. Little like that big babies. Yes, and they love it. Yuck. And then over in Africa, they eat monkey brains live. I mean, I couldn't even dream. Oh my God. Morning, y'all. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not like really grossing you guys out. But this is how we get these viruses and these diseases. But, who are we as the United States to step in and say they're not allowed to do it because we don't want their stuff, And even the CDC can't do much. But, they still have got Ebola over there in one village that I believe hundreds, because they won't let them out of the town. They just got them surrounded, and more keep catching it, and come to find out it's monkeys. It's the monkeys they're eating. And then over in Asia, all the weird food in China. No, and we don't know about it until it's too late. Oh, it was yeah, see, Mimi says she knows about that too.
Well, the rumor is that, a lot of our chickens that are in the grocery store come from China, and the chicken wings and stuff, the little bits of meat aren't really what they claim they are. So,
Yeah, you just have to wash. I try to wash everything really good now, because you almost wonder, like you said, the chickens come from China, and it's like, huh, you really start wondering of what you're eating, or a lot of the processed foods. That's what I think. Trump feels it's so important to get our manufacturers back here, because even some of our food processing needs to be done here. It does not need to be from another country. Definitely not another country for our food. Give the manufacturing back to the farmers. Where they had their farms, and then they had their the manufacturers pretty much close. The only time I kind of got grossed out with manufacturing is when I was traveling up north, and then it was like Purina dog chow, or Purina pet food was on one side, and it was like Quaker oats on the other side, or Quaker, or one of those food things, and it was like, ooh, I hope they don't get it mixed up. It was the cereal, though. I remember it being cereal, and for like years after that, I couldn't eat cereal because I kept thinking of the Purina pet food right next to the cereal plant. But that's just stuff you got, just got to wonder sometimes with manufacturing what happens, or even how the plastics get in it. If you watch your meat recalls, a lot of it's because plastics are ended up in the meat. So,
yeah. All right. Can we change the subject?
hey, I got a good one just kind of to wrap everything up. Is Portland, Oregon, is having a really hard time with Antifa. The mayor basically is giving them free reign of the city, and they're going around and they're beating up people. I mean, it's a lot of the elderly, and they'll spit on them. They're getting to where they're carrying bottles and clubs and pepper spray. They're pepper spraying people for no reason. They'll be walking down the street or driving down the street, and all of a sudden they decide to direct traffic, and they'll go up and pepper spray you through the windows just because. And the police have been told to stand down. And I have called the mayor's office so many times out there, and they're like, oh, well, we don't support it. We just it's out of control. If Antifa is out of control in Portland, it's time to bring in the National Guard if their police force can't do it. And it's really sad that they're letting them build up, because now a lot of Antifa has moved into Portland. It used to be, they said maybe 25, 30 in a crowd. Now it's getting to be hundreds are showing up now. And it's really sad. And they're blaming it pretty much on the mayor at this point. And now they told people if you go to this spring and this summer to maybe go there to travel, to tourism thing, they're almost saying don't do it. Even the travel people are saying don't go to Portland. You just don't know, what Antifa is going to do. So, wow, that's really sad because, see, that's what's going on in New York, too, with the cops. They're being told to stand down by Blasio. And, look at what happened. They were being attacked. And people were throwing water on them. And the one guy threw a bucket. And finally, they started putting, doing, no, y'all can't do that. But now we're going into spring and summer. And we need to get these mayors out of office, definitely, and get some other mayors in. Because they're the ones that's controlling what the police can and can't do. And it's getting to be more and more. And a friend of mine that's in Sacramento, she mentioned that she watched a group of kids that were going after a police officer, and he wasn't really fighting back. And when they called more in, they were basically just telling the kids, nah, you don't need to do this, and never arrested them. And they were like throwing stuff at the cars, the police cars. And she got the feeling they're being told to stand down. And she asked if I could look into it, and I couldn't find nothing. And of course, my family is big law enforcement out in California. So, I might check with them, but that's getting scary where they're letting these cops get overrun. And that's my fear, because so many are being shot, and now they're being attacked. And now not only the cops being attacked, but now local citizens are being attacked. And of course, they're going to go after the elderly or veterans. Veterans are a big target of Antifa, real big target. And they've already attacked a gentleman that was 80 years old and in a wheelchair. They attacked an older couple that had walkers trying to get across the street. They were attacking them. It's just cowardly. And not to mention, you can find Antifa on Facebook and Twitter and look at them plotting to do stuff. And they don't even get taken off for it. I put an article on about a cute little fox with babies, and I get my strike, but Antifa gets to do. I've never seen them talk about being banned. Even the Islamics are even allowed to talk really a lot of violence, and they're not doing, Twitter's not doing nothing, and Facebook or Google, they're just not doing anything about these extremists. And it's,
Larry has said so often, who are you going to call? If the sheriff,
that's it.
If the sheriff and the prosecutor are communists, you're not, you have no recourse.
Nope.
And that's why we need President Trump to win, and that's why we need to be very aware of who's running for sheriff, that we don't get more of these communist sheriffs in office. Mm-hmm. Because they think they've got it all locked down. And when Trump gets in second term, he can fire the federal prosecutors. They still get their salaries.
Yeah.
At least they can be fired and replaced. And, thank God he has replaced 191 judges, and there are 4 waiting for approval right now this week. So anyhow, stay awake, stay alert, and never forget James 2:18, which is almost identical to what it says in Acts 26. Faith without works is dead. Paul was saying in Acts 26 that, he'll prove his faith by what he does. And so thank you, Rosebud, for talking about, calling the White House. Mm-hmm. I don't know the number for the Justice Department. The White House is 202-456 1111. 202-456-1111.
They even have, you can even call the FBI in your state if you see stuff. My church has got an FBI agent, and he's always, I always talk to him to see, what's up and what he's heard, and he lets me know some stuff. But he says you can even report and, what you're upset with your local. He said the local guys are the ones that are fighting for justice. It's the guys up at the in Washington, D.C. that aren't doing their jobs. And he tells me this all the time. He says, we try so hard here in Arkansas, to fight crime and even the residual effects of the Clintons, he says. But when you send it to Washington, it just falls on deaf ears. And he said, and when you call them, it falls on deaf ears. And he says, he gets more through to Washington than someone calling there. So he really does say, talk to your local FBI. And, because when I don't get people to listen to me, I said, I'm going to go to your boss.
Yeah.
If not, then I start over and start with the little guys. It's like when I couldn't get through to all of them senators and congressmen through D.C., I said, to heck with it. So I started calling the individual where they're from. And it was like, wow, they answer the phones. Well, now they don't answer the phones for the Democrats. But, I can still call Cotton and Rapier's and Bozeman's office here, and they'll answer. And I can talk. Most time I can get a call back from them. Tom Cotton's a little bit busier because he's been in D.C. a lot fighting Pelosi. But for the most part, your local politicians, they do answer their phones. And it really surprises me. So, and a lot of the governor's offices too will. I was surprised when I called, I guess, Northam's in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
There was it was about the electoral. There, I seen a post on it, so I called his office. See, when I see stuff like that, I'll call. I tell them I'm with Investigator News, and I seen that there was a post on Facebook that they were going to take away the electoral. And the lady was real nice and told me no, that wasn't in no press releases, and it was untrue at that point. And I said, okay. And I said, but you know what? I said, you work for that governor. And I said, deep down inside, what he's doing is wrong. And I said, I think you need to pray on it. And I hung up.
Good for you.
I always say that. Even when I call, Adam Schiff's office, I hate calling his office because they're real rude. And I always tell them, what you're doing is evil.
Good for you. Oh,
I'm a nice kind of person. I tell them off nicely. And
right.
Then I always say I'm going to pray for them. Or I tell them they need to read their Bible more. I said, tell them, I said, that's what we make criminals do down here. I said, especially ones that get away with murder. I said, we make them read their Bibles while we got them stuck in our prisons.
Yay. All right. On that note, I'm going to end this. Thanks, guys, for being here. We'll be back tomorrow.
We had fun today.
And I felt like I was coming down with something earlier today, but I got outside. I think it's just all the chemicals in the house between the new carpet and the glue and the paint and the polyurethane and the primer, and it's not helping that the smell's coming up from the septic because I need to redo the floor and get the toilet set back on there. And so, I'm a little stressed out about what has
That's what I say, Eileen. It goes, yesterday and today went so quick. But
it's fun.
I really enjoy talking to everybody here. I read their comments, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, thanks, folks, for being here. We'll be back tomorrow, and keep praying and keep let's keep Larry alive with your prayers and donations, and hopefully we'll hear something before too long. But I have the feeling that he's dealing with something. I think he pulled himself down so far that it's going to be hard for him to claw his way back. So prayers for him, and don't forget the 7 o'clock prayer thing. So we'll talk tomorrow. God bless you. Bye.